As I mentioned in a previous video, I am off my regular teaching job right now currently. And in this time that I've been off work, I have still been focused on education because education is a real passion of mine. And it's something that even when I have stepped back from my role, it doesn't mean that I haven't been thinking of what I do for a job. I have. And I guess having this time off from my regular role and having to have just a different perspective right now while I'm going through a personal matter, I developed an idea and it grew and it grew. I spoke with a few people and they just loved it. And I just thought, wow, I wonder if we can actually get movement with this idea and where it could possibly go. So it has been months and months of discussions, planning, developing, creating, meetings. And I'm just so excited with what is eventuating, and it is still developing and it's still being created. It is called Sync for Success. And I guess the notion of Sync for Success is to provide educators a online platform, an online environment where they can meet, discuss, collaborate with other educational professionals in a private environment. So essentially what I'm aiming to do is to allow educators to have that private online space, which they currently don't have. What I find is that educational professionals have to utilize social media platforms in order to collaborate, get information, ask questions, get answers. It's not really the right space for us to be doing those things. Social media has a space for connections and the social aspect, but as professionals, I want an environment where we can collaborate in a safe space that is private. There will be certain functions that will allow this space to be private. It will be a paid subscription. But when I think about what teachers are willing to pay for currently, it's a lot of resource-making platforms. And those are not cheap. Those are quite expensive when you actually break it down and look at the cost of them. Sync for Success will be not that expensive in the long run when you think about what you're gaining from the environment, which is driven by AI technology and it is backed by research and it has been created by an educator for educators. So in that realm of that professional space, there's going to be a plethora of information, resources, but we're not talking about printable resources, because what I'm actually aiming to do is to educate professionals, mainly new ones starting out, but I honestly think the more experience that I've gotten over the years, I actually see a need for experienced educators to come back to almost their educational roots. We have been so driven by different goals, different areas, different targets that I think we forgot our foundation. And when we get that foundation right as educators, what starts happening is we declutter and we get rid of everything that is not needed and we get back to our core roots, which is so important because we feel often overwhelmed, energy levels are low, we get confused, we don't know who to ask to get less confusion. And Sync for Success is aiming to be at the forefront of helping educators to make our jobs easier in the long run and not create burnt out teachers, because we value teachers and we want really good educators to stick around for the long run. This is not a job, this is a career, and you pay a lot of money for your degree. You go through a lot of time, effort, study. We don't want that wasted. You don't want that wasted. So Sync for Success is there to drive that passion, that engagement, inspire you, and create that online collaborative community. Okay. So Sync for Success will gradually develop into that online platform, and it is going to have so many elements to it. Like I mentioned, it will be AI driven, but that does not mean that you're talking to a robot the whole time. When I say AI driven, it just means it is loaded with all information relevant to educational professionals. So it has that really good solid foundation behind it. And all of those resources have been hand-picked by professionals. So you can be assured that the AI technology is not like ChatGPT. It is specific to education. So you'll get clearer answers. For example, if you're in the classroom and you have a behavior issue with a student, you can get onto the app Sync for Success, and we call it S for S, just for short, Sync for Success. And what you can do is type in a question to get some on-the-spot answers about behavior and get some intervention strategies, because it's hard as a teacher, and sometimes you just need that quick instead of having to wait for the leadership team or the wellbeing team to step in and help you. So that's just one example. Think for Success is also encapsulating social media platforms without it being social media. So it really gets rid of the privacy issues, but we still have that notion of connection, collaboration through chat forums, and you'll have your own wall, just like a Facebook profile and all those other social media platforms. You can personalize your own wall to suit yourself as an educator, and other people can like your wall and you can interact with them. So I'm so excited about where this platform will grow and develop and go to. It is going to take a lot of time. I will be putting a call out soon, and I'm going to be searching high and low for 100 educators to come on board with me to test the online platform and give feedback. And essentially, you'll get a year free subscription if you're that first 100 and you sign up. And you will basically get free access to everything that Sync for Success offers, all while giving feedback on what you'd like more of and what you want to see in that online environment. So I can't wait to see where Sync for Success goes and grows. Stay tuned. There will be so much more information coming. But if you hear me talking about Sync for Success, or S for S as I call it, it is an online platform. It is for educators, and it is going to be so exciting when it lands. It's a few months away, but in the meantime, there's so much work to be done and so much information to get through. So why the name Sync for Success? Sync is so important as an educator. As a professional in your field, you have to constantly be syncing to stay up to date, knowledgeable, and understand the generation that you are trying to educate. There is a disconnect. It is so clear, it is so evident, and it's going to get wider and wider and wider if we don't come together and try and fix this issue, because what we're actually finding is a total disengagement from learners, and it will almost become obsolete that learners go past year 10, and I worry even lower, grade 9, grade 8, in 5, 10, 15 years. I think it will become an issue. And if we want change, and if we actually want to enjoy our careers, we need to act now. We need to act sooner rather than later. So Sync for Success, the sync, that word comes from we need to sync our knowledge. We need to sync our skills. We need to be aligned, and we need to understand the generation that we're teaching. So that gap does not get wider and wider and wider. Otherwise, learners are going to tap out, and they're going to tap out really quickly. It's already happening. If you haven't been exposed to it, there is a huge gap in the educational system, not just in Australia, in the world. And learners are cottoning on that educators are not staying up to date. So they don't see the purpose, they don't see the value, there's no connection. We need to get all of that back. We are attempting to educate native technology users that have been born into technology. So instead of having that fixed mindset of what education and teaching used to be, we need to change that. We need to not have a fixed mindset. It needs to be flexible, and it needs to be up to date. So the sync in Sync for Success comes from we need to sync. But think about this. When you update and sync your smartphone, it doesn't mean you lose those core foundational values that smartphone developers know that their users need and use all the time. Syncing essentially for a smartphone is just uploading what's new, but it doesn't mean we are getting rid of what is already there and currently working. So think of that like an educator. Every time something new, fancy comes along, do we need to grasp onto it straight away? No, but we need to understand it and we need to be knowledgeable in it. And that's what the syncing part is, okay? The 4 in Sync for Success, the 4 areas, they are essential. I have developed a pedagogical process of just 4 areas. They are passion. So number 1, you have to have passion. And then I break down what passion is in education as a teacher. Next, we have understanding. Understanding is crucial. If you don't understand your learners, if you don't understand behavior, if you don't understand the curriculum, if you don't understand reporting, if you don't understand assessment, then you're not knowledgeable. And if you're not knowledgeable, you get confused. And that's when that disengagement, that's when we get burnt out teachers. That's when we get high confusion, frustration. And so the aim of the understanding notion is to make sure that we are constantly understanding our job, our students, behavior, what's happening in those spaces. And it makes it less confusing for educators. Next, we have updating. Updating is crucial. There's a generational gap. Okay, we have boomers and we have millennials attempting to teach Generation Z, Generation Alpha, and then we're going to have Generation Beta come along. We need to stay updated if we want to break through that generational gap that's currently happening in the education system. If we want passionate teachers, if we want passionate learners, then we all have to remain updated. Okay, so Sync for Success aims to continually update its users with quick, easy, short bursts of information, not long drawn out lectures. And the last part is connecting. It is so important to connect to your career, to your learners, to the people that work with you, to your parents, to the community. And so the connection part of Sync for Success in one of those 4 areas comes from connecting to all those really key vital areas. And that's where we get the name Sync for Success. Because if you sync all 4 of those things, you will be successful. You'll be successful in feeling validated that you understand and know your job and that you've chosen a career that you're passionate about and that inspires you every day to want to get out of bed and get to work. We want that. And if we have that as educators, then we essentially change the attitude of our learners, and it's a cycle effect. So Sync for Success aims to be at the forefront of syncing educators with those 4 key areas so that they can be inspired, passionate, and we want those types of educators educating our learners, because our learners, we need them and we need them to stay engaged. Sync for Success, the online platform, is being created and developed knowing that a lot of educators love social media and the social media platforms. But like I said, it's not the environment and it's not the right platform for us as professionals to engage in those professional conversations. So Sync for Success will essentially incorporate social media platform ideologies, and it will look similar, but it will be completely driven and created for educational professionals. You'll have a wall, you'll be able to be creative and decorate it. You'll have a photo album, you'll be able to like other people's walls, you'll be able to engage and interact with other users. And like I said, there'll be the privacy protection where you can create your own username. You can have an avatar that you can dress up, and it's going to be backed by gamification. Okay, so more information will come along with all of this, but I just want to get you interested and excited and along on this journey, because Sync for Success is set to dominate the education professional community in an online platform way. And I can't wait to see how it develops and grows with feedback. We would love to have you following the Sync for Success journey. So please continue to watch these YouTube videos and of course, like and subscribe. You can also find us on Insta and TikTok as well. So follow us on those platforms as well. And as always, I'm going to start ending these videos by saying, let that sink in.